I felt good going into that Georgia game. I think a lot of Gators did. The players had a week off. Of course, so did Georgia. But they going into the game, they seemed to have a real good attitude and so forth. And obviously, we played head-to-head with them. What was it 13-6 at half, 13-7?
13-6, yeah.
Something
made
like
that.
that.
Late field goal.
Yeah. And then, obviously, Lagway got hurt. But really, the field goal turned the whole tide, I thought, when the snap was low. First bad snap he's had that I ever remember.
Yeah, another Duly Noted podcast comes to you from the Coach's Podcast Room at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill in Celebration Point. Okay, welcome to another Duly Noted podcast presented by Titan MRI from the Meldon Law Dooley Studios. It should be a fun show today. Coach Spurrier is going to be in here. We always love him on Meldon Mondays. Robbie Andrew will be in here. We'll do a yes, no, way, or maybe. And right now, Brian Mead is in here, and we wanted to get him on before we started the starting five. I did want to mention, by the way, that Coach Spurrier today and Chris Lowe will join us on Thursdays. Okay, on this Thursday, and we're working on a special guest. That's all I can say, right? We've here's what we've got. We've got they'll consider it. So we get that special guest. That'll be good. But Brian, I know you're involved in this situation where, and again, we all had to go through it. We lost power for 6 whole hours. I was really upset. We're in a good spot. You know that.
Right.
But to sell these T-shirts to raise money to help the people that went through all this crap, and it was hard.
It's a huge, devastating events that happened. Both hurricanes affected different parts of Florida different ways, but. This is a shirt we could make and sell to Gator fans that hopefully will help a lot of people out.
Yeah, and the T-shirt. In fact, I tell you what we want. Do you want to go ahead and play the clip of Coach Spurrier talking about the T-shirt right
now?
Sure.
Yeah, that was.
That way we can show the T-shirt. Go ahead and play that for Zach if you have it ready for us.
Hi there. This is Steve Spurrier, former head ball coach of our Florida Gators, and this is to all the Gators out there. We have certainly been stricken by a couple of bad hurricanes here in the last month or so, and our friends up and down that Gulf Coast have really been hit hard. And as our Gator song says, in all kinds of weather, we'll all stick together for LORIDA. You can get this T-shirt here by going to almamaterdesign.com. And it's a nice soft cotton T-shirt, and all the proceeds will go to help the victims of the hurricanes that came through in the last 4 or 5 weeks, as we know. So anyway, it'll be money to the Red Cross for disaster relief. And again, you can go to almamaterdesign.com and make your contribution. We really appreciate it. Thanks, and go Gators.
Yeah, so that was Coach Spurrier, and it's a great cause. I mean, look, I go around town in our town, which got nothing. You still have stuff piled up, and when I always think about that, if you see something like that, then you know how bad it is in other places.
Right. We lost power at our house for about 26 hours
and
had some damage to our house. So it means a lot to us too, just because we know that we were very fortunate to get the little bit of damage that we did compared to everybody else who had quite a bit of damage.
Oh, yeah. And certainly our prayers go out to everybody that's out there. But how do you get that shirt? I mean, what's the best way to do it?
Our website, almamaterdesign.com. It's right in there's a tab that says Gator Shop. It's right there in the front page. We ship out within a day or so. So if you still want it, you can get it within just a few days.
And what's it cost? How much you pay for that?
It's $25 for the shirt, and $20 of that goes back to the charities. We've got some going to Red Cross. We've got 2 other charities picked out right now that we haven't put money to them yet, but Red Cross has already been taken care of. At this point,
right.
we've raised over $6,000 for hurricane relief.
But if somebody wanted to give you $50, and say, hey, everything over your expense, put to them.
Yeah, I mean, we'd just give them 2 shirts at that point anyway. Yeah, just so you have an extra one.
Well, I got one in order.
Right, you do.
Right? Okay. I will be happily to pay for it because I mean, we skated again through another hurricane, and I feel bad for all the people who have had to deal with it. All right, that is our start to our Gainesville Quarterback Club starting five. So let's go on. I did want to mention, too, if you want to get a special $150 kind of a guest pass at the Gainesville Quarterback Club, here's the guest you have the next three. They're not doing it this week. They're doing it the next three. Jacob Hester. I don't know if I want to see him. He may run over me for a first down. But Graham Mertz and Carlos Alvarez. So you can't do much better than that. That would be worth $150 just to come out and see those guys. You get dinner. You have a good time as well. Let's get to the Gainesville Quarterback Club starting five. And number one is, hey, look, my mood after the game was not mad, sad. You know, mad is where we get a lot of times with Florida football. We get so angry about the things that are going. But in this case, it was just, God, I feel they did everything. They played so hard. I mean, guys made mistakes. Get all these injuries. Incredible. It was very frustrating. Very frustrating to watch. But when they hit that, I mean, this is two top 10 teams they played. And I never felt at one point that Florida looked like the lesser physical team. And that says a lot about where Napier's got this program.
Yeah, I don't think anybody would have guessed it would have been 2020 with just a few minutes left in the game.
And they got a field goal to take the lead.
I mean, that was. I think a lot of people were shocked in how well they played with as many injuries they did that late in the game.
I think in a way, you know what I would do? I would go out and hire I would hire the best special teams coach in the world, and if he said, I'm going to charge you $5 million a year, they go, we'll just take it off the head coach's salary. It seems like they have to find a way to lose a game that way every year. 78 yards after Lagway left in the second half, and that was a big factor. Which gets us to number two on our Gainesville Quarterback Club starting five, and that is I'd like to talk about Zook. I don't enjoy talking about Zook, but some coaches have it. Urban Meyer didn't have it. Steve Spurrier didn't have it. Ron Zook invented it. And then we saw this happen with several coaches, including Will Muschamp, who had his starting quarterback and his best defensive player go out within 3 days of each other. Very similar to what's going on here. And, but at least he had, who was the guy that came in? I can't think of Tyler Murphy came in and at least find a way to win. And Treon Harris, he was bringing in guys, 5'8", quarterbacks from Miami that were running around. But anyway, he does seem to have just incredible bad luck. Now, I will say this. I was listening to Coach Napier coming in, and it sounds like there's a chance that Lagway will play this week. If he doesn't play this week, I would think he would play next week. Now, you never know. This could be a Cam Rising, where he gets 9 years, but that's not what he wants to do. But when he went down, it was just like a really sad moment for college football and for Gator fans.
It was heartbreaking, yeah. Because, you could tell that kid, he plays so hard all the time. And what was it? Was the injury a hamstring?
Yeah, hamstring.
Okay. Yeah, just those kind of injuries. It's that poor kid. You could tell it hurt him a lot.
Oh, I know. It did. And not only that, but now you go back to what I call the Zook luck, which is you're starting two quarterbacks were out for this game at the end. Two running backs were out for the game. Most of your secondary was out. You're starting the secondary you wanted to go put on the field in game one. I think there was only one guy left. That was it. So, but hey, nobody is making excuses. Never, don't. That's not Florida. We don't do that here. But it's been rough. It's been tough. And then you go to what now? And let's see what happens. There's 17-point underdogs at Texas. Number 3 on our Gainesville Quarterback Club starting five. 17-point underdogs against Texas. And we'll see what happens with we'll see what happens with Jacksonville. Now, I know a lot of people are mad about the turf, and I was one of them. Why does Florida always seem to get somebody hurt on a regular turf? But they always do, and Georgia doesn't. So maybe there's something they're not quite – maybe it's just bad luck. Maybe that's Zook luck. Zook luck is a bad thing. It's terrible. It'll infect your mind and ruin it. But you think about what happened to Lagway, what happened to Shamar James last year. couple other guys. I mean, there's so many guys that went down, so many guys on crutches. But it is what college football is. And I don't know what's next for Florida. Maybe Lagway comes back and is able to be a third of his former self, which might not be good enough to win any more games. My thing is, if it was me, and I know everything, I think I know everything, I would tell Lagway, hey, we're going to keep working on you for another week. We don't need to have you ready for Texas. We're going to lose that game anyway. We're going to get you ready for those 2 home games that are winnable games, and FSU, we've got to win 2 of those 3 to get to a bowl. That's what I would do, but that's me.
I mean, I think if he's healthy to play, I think get him out there.
Yeah.
I think that, almost beating Georgia, what Georgia did to Texas, then there's always a fighting chance that they could possibly pull one out.
You think about that the way Georgia embarrassed Texas, and they had them hammered, and Florida was beating the crap out of Georgia until Lagway went down. So anyway, that's what college football is. That's why we love it, right? Let's get to number 4 on our Gainesville Quarterback Club starting 5, and that is the SEC this weekend. Didn't show a lot of, there weren't a lot of upsets. South Carolina routing Auburn, routing Texas A&M was, you knew eventually they were going to have that bad game because they weren't overly talented on offense. But that still surprised me. That was fun to watch, so I did enjoy watching that South Carolina game. Tennessee beating Kentucky, no big surprise. Kentucky was right there with them, and then they just don't have it, man. And then Vandergrift gets hurt, and I'm like, I guess that's bad. I don't know. He's not that good of a quarterback. You also had Vandy winning again. What the H is going on here? What kind of bizarro world am I living in? Is forward backward? Is front back? I don't know what's going on with Vanderbilt now sitting here with a incredible. What are they? 5-3 now, or 6-3? I think they got bowl eligible last night.
I think they're
in
6-3.
Game. Yeah, I think they're 6-3. So that's amazing. And then Ole Miss just beating the crap out of Arkansas, putting putting Sam Pittman, not a Hugh, Sam Pittman back on the hot seat, I think. A lot of people are going to go, hey, you just gave up 63. We don't like that. But we'll see where that all goes. So there's a lot of stuff going on in the SEC. And finally, number 5 on our Gainesville Quarterback Club, starting 5. The national game, the big game was Ohio State beating Penn State. I watched that whole game. Penn State just has no offense going. I think Cam Ward won the Heisman the other night. He was 5 touchdowns in a tight game against the best team they can muster. There's not much out there, but I think it's over.
Yeah, he looks fantastic.
And he's really talented. Really, the one pass he threw where he ran all the way across the field and threw it back and it got picked off. I went, oh, that may be a Heisman-changing moment. And then he just got the ball and drove him right back to the field for a touchdown. So I think he did. I haven't voted, though. Iowa State goes down. Clemson goes down. So there was some upsets. It wasn't one of those crazy, wild Saturdays in college football, but it was still entertaining. We know that. It's always entertaining. And we appreciate you, Brian, for coming in.
Thank you very
today.
much.
And again, let people know how they can get that shirt.
Our website's almamaterdesign.com. There's a tab that says Gator Shop, and it's right there on the front page.
Great. We'll have to get on there. I want to get one of those shirts. We'll be back with more on another Duly Noted podcast presented by Titan MRI from the Meldon Law Gator Studios. And Meldon Law is the one who's going to present our next guest, Stephen Spurrier.
Meldon Law has been serving personal injury victims since 1971. In those days, Jeffrey Meldon's presence as an attorney in the music scene dubbed him with the nickname the Hippie Attorney. And although times have changed, 2 things haven't. Our commitment to bettering our community by helping the injured.
Albert, are you ready to go to the game?
And our love for the Florida Gators.
If you bleed orange and blue, Meldon Law is the firm for you.
Great food, great atmosphere, a diverse menu, everything made from scratch, plenty of space, and locally owned. These are all the characteristics of a great restaurant, and you can find each and every one of them right here in Gainesville at Ballyhoo Grill. Ballyhoo Grill prepares all of their food fresh every day, from their salad dressing to their award-winning soups. Bring your family and enjoy dinner under the Tim Tebow Tiki Hut while listening to live music. Or if you're running low on time to eat out, they also deliver through Uber Eats, Fight Squad, and Postmates. A Gainesville staple that's been open for over 30 years. Check out Ballyhoo Grill on Facebook or at ballyhoogrill.com.
Gator fans, football season is here. What's better than seeing the Gators back on the field? Easy. Seeing amazing speakers and fellow Gator fans weekly at the Gainesville Quarterback Club. Held every Tuesday night of a home game at the Best Western Gateway Grand. Enjoy happy hour, great food, valuable insights from yours truly and Andy Staples, plus notable speakers throughout the season. As the oldest Gator booster club in the world, Gainesville Quarterback Club gives you access to elite speakers like coaches, NCAA football insiders, Gator greats, and more. Share your passion for Gator football with hundreds of other members at weekly in-season meetings, home tailgates, and special events throughout the year. Join the Gainesville Quarterback Club today. Email the club at membership@quarterbackclub.org or visit thequarterbackclub.org. Or better yet, just give me a call and I'll get you to the right people. Okay, welcome back to another Dooley Noted podcast presented by Titan MRI from the Meldon Law Gator Studios. And, of course, Meldon Law also sponsors Coach Spurrier being in here on Mondays. We love our Meldon Mondays, so we get to talk to the coach. And all these hacks are out there. They're waiting to hear what you have to say, so they can write it down and make a story out of it. You wouldn't believe how much that happens.
Really?
I'll go. Wow, my pod's getting a lot of publicity because Spurrier's talking about it. Sometimes they take whatever they want and do whatever they want with it.
Yeah, I felt good going into that Georgia game. I think
did.
a lot of Gators did. The players had a week off. Of course, so did Georgia. But they going into the game, they seemed to have a real good attitude and so forth. And obviously, we played head-to-head with them. What was it 13-6 at half, 13-7?
13-6, yeah.
Something
made
like
that.
that.
Late field goal.
Yeah. And then, obviously, Lagway got hurt. But really, the field goal turned the whole tide, I thought, when the snap was low. First bad snap he's had that I ever remember.
Yeah, I've seen it once, okay, so I'm not going to psychoanalyze it, but it looked like it was a low snap, but it could have been gotten up.
Yeah, but it was a little out. Yeah, the holder
it wasn't a great snap, but it wasn't.
Holder didn't get it.
Yeah, but anyway, it doesn't matter. Those things happen.
Yeah, then it rolled
for
about
some reason they
20 yards backwards, another 20 yards, and
so it sets them up. Yeah,
and they scored that one and one other. But I tell you what, I give Kirby Smart a little shout out. When ETN scored and he did all that hoo-ha and did that slash throat, and they penalized him, Kirby chewed him out real good.
Yeah. No, that was actually, was it ETN or was it?
ETN, wasn't it? It was whoever scored a touchdown.
Yeah, it was.
Wasn't it ETN?
I thought it was the other kid.
The last one. The last touchdown? Well, whoever it was.
Whoever it was, yeah.
He chewed him out real good because he deserved it. And that's.
Well, I mean, again,
that's kind of program.
Steve, this is what drives me nuts. That is like the fifth time I've seen somebody do it and not get penalized. I mean, I've seen somebody from Miami did it. They did that, the throat slash, the Gator chomp and throat slash, no penalty. We've got to get consistency in the officiating. That's the bottom line, and that's what drives me nuts. But yeah, you're right. That was good. And then, of course, once it's down to Aiden Warner, they're in trouble, and they've got to deal with. Now they got to condense their playbook again. But I mean, my problem, and again, you know how to be creative on the run game. Everybody thinks you're creative on the pass game. You know how to get creative on the run game. I mean, that Eric Rett little shovel was part of that. But I felt like they just didn't get creative enough on the run game, or do something different. Because you knew that they had eight in the box sometimes, knowing that Florida wasn't going to be able to pass the ball far.
Yeah, I guess so. But, the tide turned after the field goal low snap didn't get off. I mean, we lost about 25 yards also.
I know.
Instead of just missing it. But it's history now, and getting ready for Texas. I'm going on this trip.
Are you?
I've never been to the University of Texas. And
I've been there twice.
I got permission from the AD, and athletic department.
What do you mean you have to get permission?
Well, you got to ask. You can't just say, "Hey, I'm going."
Well, you could go by yourself. You can get on for your. You can take your own private jet out there. The money you got.
I'm going with the team. I'm part of the traveling party, and hopefully I can see Matthew McConaughey on the sideline.
I know. That's what.
Yeah. My wife Jerry said we need to see Matthew if he's there, and he'll be there. I guess he's always.
I'm sure he will be.
Home games, but yeah.
You should get me a picture of you and him.
Okay.
And then I'll get it blown up and put it in the tournament.
Okay. Yeah.
The two legends right there. Wow. Yeah, so we'll see what happens here. It was obviously a fun weekend as well. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on. There weren't a lot of upsets. There was like a lot of really good games, and you would get interested in it. Like, for example, your Dukies were right there, you know?
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, they're going to pull this off. And then it just got away from them.
Yeah, the Dukies lost a heartbreaker to SMU, who had a big win again this past week. Louisville upsetting Clemson was a little bit of a shock.
Yeah.
Clemson didn't see that one coming. But I tell you, there's so many good teams nowadays. Almost everybody's going to have a loss, I think, here or there. And Ohio State, I guess, and Oregon is still undefeated. But it wouldn't surprise me if they have a loss somewhere along the line.
Ohio State has a loss because they lost to Oregon by one.
Yeah.
So I think there's 8 or 7 undefeated teams. One of them's Army.
Oh.
There's not that many.
There's a lot of them. No, there's a lot of Indiana.
Indiana's one.
Brigham Young,
That's
Indiana.
4.
Army.
Yeah.
Pittsburgh got beat this week, but
Yeah.
there's a few left.
Yeah, well,
But
there's
and
7
of
or
course, South Carolina beat Texas A&M, and I mean it just goes to show
you had to be happy about that one.
Yeah, there's so many good teams out there, and they all can't win, and they all play each other. So the moral of the story is hang in there, and you can win the conference with 1 or 2 losses, and you can get in the playoff and win it all with 2 or 3 losses. Just hang in there and keep playing to the finish.
You know, in a perfect world, every team would end up 6-6, and nobody would ever get fired. You know, that would be the perfect world. But we all know that it's not a perfect world. Teams are going to get beat, and teams are going to get criticized. Teams are going to get mad.
Well, all the schedules are tougher.
Yeah, they are.
Everybody's playing their conference and a few good out-of-conference games, which we did. I mean, our opponents still have only lost, I think, 5 games.
Right.
Their overall record, 25-5 or 6. I'm not sure.
Well, no,
So,
the teams that have beaten them have only lost 3. Yeah, they're 24-3 now. I think it is. The teams that have beaten them. So, well, actually, it's higher than that. So, yeah, no, they're playing. I mean, this brutal schedule, and that's why I wonder if Florida can sneak out a win, and then beat FSU. They're 5-7. I would take them in a bowl game. They're going to bring a crowd. They're going to.
Can you get in a bowl with a losing record?
You can still do it with a losing record,
I didn't know that.
especially. No, they did it a few years ago. They
Yeah.
did it during COVID. They did it during because they have so many bowl games now. They got to figure out a way to do it. But I'm not worried about that. Here's what I'm worried about: keep showing that you're getting better. And that's the thing I wanted to say, Steve. Is I'm watching that game, the whole game, and I said I never went there. Thought to myself, man, they've just got better players. I mean, they have a little bit better players, but they don't have. Florida belongs on the field with that team.
Oh,
and
yeah,
that's the way,
definitely.
That's the way I walked away from it.
Yeah, I agree. One team maybe is used to winning more than the other team, and certainly Georgia's had some lousy games. So that Kentucky game, 13-12. Yeah, they're not a dominant team, but they found a way to win most of them. That's for sure.
That's what I keep telling myself. I've seen flaws in Miami and Georgia and teams that I want to lose, so hopefully they'll lose in the playoffs. But it's going to be an interesting playoff. All right, so what else we have going on here? Boy, your Tulsa Tornadoes or whatever they are, Hurricanes, got hammered the other night, didn't they?
Yeah, they gave up 4 special team touchdowns in the first half.
No, in the first half.
In the first half, I think.
Oh, my gosh.
Through the course of the game. But, yeah, they got way behind early, and it wasn't much of a game with, let's see, they played UAB, I think.
Right, yeah.
UAB.
And UAB's been struggling, too. So, but anyway, I mean, you know, that's what college football is. And I do, like, if we can just get around all this NIL portal stuff and kind of legislate it down to a point where it makes sense, I think college football has a chance to go past the NFL if they can get it right. But right now, you look at it and you go, it's like nobody's got a control over it. Nobody's got a say over it. Nobody is putting their foot down going, here's the way to do it.
Yeah, hopefully Congress would have to step in.
Yeah.
Some of those congressmen, they keep talking about trying to pass some legislation that the major Power 4 conferences now, I guess you call them, they could spend like $25 million on their player salaries and try to balance it out and let them, spend whatever they can per person or per position, I guess we'd say. But I don't know when that's going to happen. But you know what? Everybody bitches about the NIL and paying players and transfer portals, and they got the biggest crowds all over the country. Everything's sold out.
Yeah, it's idiot-proof. That's what I always say. It's idiot-proof.
Now Tennessee's only got one loss, and they don't look real good at times.
They
now.
find ways to win.
They keep winning, and they got 110,000, I guess, at Rocky Top every home game.
And they put the other band right up in the top corner, so which I think is shameful. Personally, but
Vandy is one of the big games this week.
I know.
South Carolina, I think, goes to Vandy.
I know,
and that they may take the SEC network. May go.
Oh, they should go there. They aren't going to get many more chances, right?
At Vandy.
Yep. All right. Well, unless you have anything else, Coach, we'll let you go.
Okay. Yeah. This is we hadn't played Texas, I think, since the 1940s. Somebody said. So
I did not cover that game.
That is really interesting. I'm looking forward to watching the Gators go beat the Longhorns out there. Okay, before we do that, though, we do have to get to our Campus USA play of the weekend. Yeah. Okay, here's this play. You got to see this play.
Has time. Now locates Barkley out of the backfield. Barkley
makes a guy miss. Oh, and what did he do? He jumped over the guy backwards. Yeah. How do you do that?
Just like he did it. he heard him sort of coming or felt him coming, so he makes a spin right there. And he saw that guy, and he said, well, I'll just leap him backwards. Yeah, I've never seen that one before. They loved it, though, didn't they?
I think I pulled a muscle just watching it.
Yeah. Somebody will try to do that in the future now. You're
going to see a lot
Somebody
of
will try that, yeah.
And that's the other thing. I talked about this I'll talk about it a little bit later, but, we've got this big explosion about people getting upset about players going down. Oh, he's hurt. And Sankey's coming out and saying, well, we're going to, if your guy's obviously going down, we're going to eventually give you 3 games suspension for 3 times. And I'm like, it's not that hard to do. Just tell the guys, if you go down like that, you can't play the next 3 plays. 4 plays, or 5 plays. Whatever you decide, that's fine. But just keep him out of the game then. If he's going to fake an injury. So you got to get more creative on falling down.
Faking injuries? Yeah. No, they certainly should. Yeah.
It's wild. It's a bad part of the college game. Let's go that way. All right. We'll be back on with Coach Spurrier on Monday, and we appreciate you being in here, Coach.
Yeah, I'll be back with the Longhorn report next week.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah, I want to hear, because I've been there twice. I want to hear what your take is on that stadium and the whole way it's set up. It's pretty good. You'll like it. I think.
I enjoyed going to A&M. 3 years ago?
Yeah,
2 or 3 years ago.
You like that yell practice.
Anthony Richardson had his best game.
He did.
Maybe ever.
He did.
As a Gator out there.
So maybe this will be the best game for Aiden Warner.
Aiden Warner, he's our man. Yeah. All right.
If he can't do it, nobody can. All right. We'll be back with more of another duly noted podcast presented by Titan MRI right after this break.
Titan MRI, North Central Florida's premier independent diagnostic testing MRI facility. At Titan MRI, we're focused on you, the patient, having a great customer experience. Our MRI equipment is modern and 75% quieter than any unit in its class. And our MRI unit has one of the largest openings of any of the newer high-strength MRI units, which allows comfortable scanning for potential claustrophobic and larger patients. At Titan MRI, we look forward to serving you.
Adams Rib Company has been a staple of Gainesville for more than a decade and a staple of the Dooley house ever since Kelsey's teeth came in. The first time I walked into Adams, I told my daughter that the green beans are always a test of a great barbecue restaurant, and they were perfect. about the ribs that melt in your mouth, and my favorite, the turkey plate. But be sure to go in on Fridays for Nana's Fish Nuggets. They will melt in your mouth. Adams Rib Co., a Gainesville great. Another duly noted podcast comes to you from the Coaches Podcast Room at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill and Celebration Point. You can watch and listen to us on Facebook and YouTube for every podcast that we do on Mondays and Fridays at 2 o'clock. Listen to the podcast whenever on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Overcast, any of the other 39 platforms where you can find this podcast or your favorite podcast. Remember to like, follow, and subscribe. If you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comments section below or call me if you want to do some advertising at 352-317-3444. Okay, and welcome back to another duly noted podcast presented by Titan MRI from the Meldon Law Gator Studios. Coming to you on our Big Mills Cheesesteaks Zoom line is the great Robbie Andrew. We will do yes, no, where, maybe. And, of course, Robbie and I will also be doing radio today together because Jeff's got a speaking engagement. So Robbie and I will be doing the show on WRUF on Monday. How was your weekend, Robbie? Did you go to the game?
Yeah, Pat. It was a good weekend. I got growled at, barked at, and, Florida, Georgia.
You didn't get spit at?
I've never had a woman growl at me before.
I bet you have. You just didn't hear it. But it might have been in a different circumstance, yeah.
We were there half an hour before the game, sitting in my seat on the aisle, and some Georgia fan comes up, stops, looks at me, and starts growling. She was going, "Rrr, rrr, rrr."
Maybe she was into you.
I should have given her the Leonardo treatment. I got 2 words for you.
All right, it's time to play Yes, Nowhere, Maybe with Robbie Andrew. You'll hear plenty of him today on the tailgate as well. Of course, as you know, Yes, Nowhere, Maybe is brought to you by Big Mills Cheesesteaks, street dining done the right way. Go in there and say you listen to Robbie on the show, and you get free fries with the order. I did that the other day. In fact, when I was out at, they had Big Mills was serving up sausage dogs at the golf tournament, the Phoenix Fox Foundation tournament, and I had one of those, and I said, "Where are the fries?"
Those are good.
They were good. They were good. All right, let's get to number 1. Robbie, the NFL teams in this state should be embarrassed that they're 8-17.
Well, can I go team by team, Pat?
You could, yes.
Okay. Well, yes, Jacksonville should be ashamed of what they've done. Spending all that money on a quarterback that they're not developing the right way, apparently, and to have they're 2-7 now?
2-7,
something like that. So they should be embarrassed. But I'm not going to do that. I'm going to say that Miami, the Dolphins have not been embarrassed because, with Tua out, they've got an excuse for, their poor record. But, they played well yesterday, just didn't win the game. And I think the Bucs are still in the hunt for the division title. So I'm not going to say they're embarrassed. So, I'm going to say Jaguars, definitely yes. Bucs and Dolphins, no. Not embarrassed.
It still says here 8-17. Did I just miscount that or 8?
The overall record's bad, but but Miami's 2 and whatever they are. Put an asterisk by that.
8-17.
No Tua. No Tua, no chance.
No hot Tua either. They need some hot Tua. That's what they need.
Yeah.
All right. Number 2 on Yes, Nowhere, Maybe. Florida wins another football game this season.
Definitely yes, Pat. And the news isn't that bad on Liveway now. They said the injury isn't as significant as they thought, and he's not even been ruled out of the game with Texas yet. So, I think maybe they get him back for the 2 home games with LSU and Ole Miss. They could win one of those or maybe both. And there's FSU, which looks like they've just gone in the tank completely now at the end of the year. And if you have Lagway for those 3 games, they're going to have a chance to win them. And I'm telling you, Pat, if Lagway hadn't gotten hurt in that game Saturday, I feel that Florida would have won that game.
Yeah, it feels like we have that every year, though. If Mertz doesn't go down against Missouri, they win the game.
True.
Again, they go down, and I agree with you. I don't disagree with you on that. And that'll be the interesting part, too, with what do you do? Do you play Lagway if he's 75%, or do you say, hey, let's get him to 100% and wait for the 2 home games and then add FSU? But,
I would, Pat. I think I'm not the coach, but I think I'd do it that way. I'd play it safe.
Yeah.
I wouldn't play him before he's ready. I mean, he's too important to your team at this point, and You saw the players' reaction when he got hurt. They all ran out there to him. So he's clearly a guy that they have embraced and really admire and look up to.
You're not getting into the playoff. You're not getting in the you just try to get bowl eligible. And the best way to get bowl eligible is to have them ready for those 3 games, I think. That's my opinion.
Exactly.
Doesn't mean I'm right, and I'm wrong off.
But I agree with your opinion.
All right, Florida is number 3 on Yes, Nowhere, maybe brought to you by Big Mills Cheesesteak. Florida covers the 10 points against USF. The game is in Jacksonville. You can watch it on the SEC net at 8:30. Does Florida cover those 10?
Yeah, I'm going to say yes on that one, Pat. And a lot of that's based on, we got a good insider with the program, right?
Yeah.
Who tells us everything that's going on. And he has been very impressed with what they've done in scrimmages. And the word is that he's put together a really good roster and that they seem to have a great chemistry already. But USF was good last year, but the tragedy with their coach and all, it's going to be a very emotional game. And I guess there's some ties to that coach from players on the Florida roster. So,
absolutely.
It's going to be very emotional for both teams early. But, I think Florida's ready to show the world what it's got.
We had Todd Golden on the podcast Thursday, and he was saying much of the same things you were saying. Like they have a lot of people that have known this coach for a long time, and he was recruiting one of the kids of one of the coaches, and they're devastated by it. And so, he said they have not decided what they're going to do for it, but for his passing, but they'll do something, and I'm sure it'll be good. But it'll be fun to watch basketball again. Certainly not the best circumstances, but that is kind of a tough cover because all of a sudden somebody knocks in a 3, you're up 13, you're not worried, or knocks in a 3-point play, you're up 12, and they go, oh, we didn't cover. But
you're right.
But I think Florida's better than them. Now, I mean, if they're good enough to have won the conference last year, they're a pretty good team. So we'll see how that goes.
It should be a good opening test for them, Pat. So we'll know more about that roster when they start.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, looking forward to seeing it. All right, Robbie, we'll let you go.
Okay, Pat, I'll see you later.
All right, we appreciate Robbie being on the show. It is time. We got a lot of stuff to get to with all our great sponsors, and we love them so much. Let's go ahead and start off with our Swamp Games of the Week. And, of course, we're at the point where you're going to have a lot of Swamp Games of the week, and that includes this week. Men's Hoop tonight, 8:30 on the SEC Network against USF. Thursday, they will play JU at 8 o'clock. That's on the Plus. If you have the Plus, ESPN Plus. The women play FAU at 7 p.m. on the Plus, and FAMU 5 p.m. on the Plus. That, again, I should be giving you better. 5 a.m. is the Thursday game. Tonight's game is you get it. Just turn on the channel. Watch the games. Watch the games, Pat. If you want to watch Jim McElwain coach, who doesn't? We all wake up in the morning thinking we want to watch Jim McElwain coach. You can watch him when Bowling Green takes on Central Michigan at 2 o'clock, 7:30. That is on the Deuce, I believe. Yes. God, there's a lot of stuff to watch. NBA, you got Tuesday. Will I stay up for watch this? I don't know. It's not that late. 7:30 game, Golden State of Boston on ESPN. I'll watch that game. That'll be a regular season game I'll watch. That's a stunner right there. Also, Tuesday in the NBA, you have 7:30 game, Golden State of Boston. No, that's the game I just announced. You have a Philadelphia-Cleveland game at 10 on ESPN. I can't ever get all these games down. There's so many games. You know that. Just hit the C. But we'll keep giving you your Swamp Games of the weekend. Swamp Restaurant. What a place to go that is. We had so much fun out there Thursday. Probably too much fun. I think I paid the price a little later, but that's a whole nother story. All right, let us move along and get to our next up. We're doing Hesser and Kipke. Yes, Hesser and Kipke, 3 things. Hesser and Kipke, of course, a Gainesville firm here for your needs in family law or workers' compensation. Just call Ken or text Ken and Jennifer 24/7 at 352-339-9920. Hesser and Kipke, nearly 50 years of combined legal experience and about to celebrate their 5th anniversary in January. Hesser and Kipke, 352-339-9920 if you want to get a hold of them. Number 1, The Dallas situation, it's like remember that show Dallas back in the old days? It was probably before your time, but it was and Rock Hudson had AIDS, but he kissed Linda Evans. It became a big deal. That has nothing to do with this. But anyway, it might as well be a series. Now you're dealing with them losing again, and everybody's mad, and CeCe Lamb is mad, and Dak is taking shots at everybody, and that. I love it. I can't get enough of it. It is the greatest reality show, and they don't mean it to be a reality show. That's what makes it great. And Dallas is not doing well, and I love that though. I don't know when I became anti-Dallas. I think it has to do with, I like Dallas okay. I don't know. It's hard for me to define when I turned on Dallas, but I've turned on them, and they're not doing good, and I enjoy it. All right, 2 on our Hesser and Kipke 3 things. We're going to need a little bit more creativeness on your flopping. Greg Sankey came down and said, hey, look, he sent a memo out to all the football coaches that goes, if your guy is clearly, and it's obvious, he is flopping and going down just to stop the clock, you're going to get a reprimand. And we're going to study all the tape. By the 3rd offense, you can be suspended for a game. Well, just make it the 1st offense. Or just, how about do this? This is the simplest idea to a problem that's not a big deal. But it's so simple. That's why the problem's not a big deal. If you flop, you go down, okay, you're out for a minimum of 3 plays. Or a minimum of 4. You can make it whatever you want, 5 plays. You can make it out. You have to be out as long as your team has the ball until they get it back. That's how you stop flopping. It's so simple. But nobody seems to go, oh, I think I'll realize that for once. Come on, guys. You're smarter than that. I know Greg Sankey's smarter than that. He's smarter than – you don't need to be – look, I've got your answers, Greg. Go ahead and hire me, and I will come to work for you. I'd rather do it remotely, though. I like staying here. But look, here's what you need to do. You need to tell coaches, if we study your film and we think one of your guys went down intentionally, especially if you had a coach point for him to go down, you will have to sit him out for the next three games. It's, whatever it is, whatever you decide on, I'll take it. And also, if your team storms the field, you will not have that. You'll lose a home game next year. I've got those problems solved, right like that. It's done. We're done. Nobody's going to do either one of those things again. I'm not a big storm fielder guy. Okay. I don't want to get into that. That wasn't what I was talking about, okay? All right. Let's move along to number 3 on our Hesser and Kipke 3 things, which brings us to another storm fielding, and, of course, it's in the SEC. South Carolina stormed the field after they beat Texas A&M, and they got a $250,000 fine, and of course that money will all go to Texas A&M. So they've helped to give them more money for their collective. Well done. That seems to be negating the whole point of celebrating, right? Here's how we're going to celebrate. We're going to give you more money so you can spend more money on players for next year. I don't get it. Again, I've got the answers. Somebody needs to start listening to them. That's going to do it for our Hesser and Kipke 3 things. I feel like the grumpy old man. I was grumpy during Halloween. I was like, get off the lawn. But I'm still grumpy. I need to calm down, get things going the right way. I know I can do it. I can make somebody happy. I can have our Leonardos at Millhopper quick picks pull. We're going to do it today. I promised you we would. I've got all these numbers written down here. One of them's named Pavia. No, I don't have a pen, but I don't need a pen. I got all these numbers ranked down here. 2 through 39. Now, a lot of you really struggle with qualifying for this game. So I've written down everybody's name with 2 through 39, and we'll let Zach make a pick of a number.
Let's do 36.
36, deep into it. Okay, and that is Anna, and I don't know if I know how to spell her name or say her name. Golaksky, Anna Golaksky. She's been getting in the contest for a while now and hadn't won yet, so that's good for her. And she will get $25 at Leonardo's. Plus, we're throwing in $25 at another place. I don't know where. I think it's going to be at I'm blanking out. Forget it. You're going to get $50 in gift certificates. I'll mail it to you. Just send me your information. Oh, why do I do this? I'm just getting so old. Anyway, all right. So she'll get Leonardo's a quick and again, we're not going to have one this week. You guys can get you get a week off. You don't have to pick against the spread with Florida. You don't have to pick Texas minus 17. So you can calm down, refocus, and we'll get her prizes, which are $25 at Leonardo's, $25 at Gator's Dockside. It kind of finally came back to me. I just let it come back to me. Whew. I'm worried about myself sometimes. All right, let's move along to our Adams Ribco Gator of the weekend. And, of course, this time of year, you never know what it's going to be. It could be a gymnast, and we're getting into that season of the year where we're going to – could be a baseball player, could be softball. It is definitely a gymnast this week. Oh, gymnast. Gymnastics hasn't started. It's definitely a volleyball player this week. And I'll give it to Taylor Parks. Taylor Parks, of course, I don't know what's going on with Allison Stuckey. I'm not going to say something stupid because she's out again, I guess. She didn't play much in that match last week. But they won again, 48 assists and 10 digs. That's very nice for Taylor Parks. She deserves to be our Adams Ribco Gator of the weekend. You should be proud of that, Taylor. I'm proud of you. And let us move from that to our UF Surf Club Cool Dude of the Week. Now, who is a cool dude this week? Well, I got to go with Diego Pavia, man. The guy is just getting things done. And you're watching the game and you're like, this guy doesn't do anything great. Oh, they won. It's crazy to watch how they play. Now, I will say this. They did get a schedule. And originally we thought their schedule was no good. I mean, like everybody in the SECs. But when you think about it, it ended up being a really good schedule for them. They got Alabama. They're down. Alabama will never be as down as they are right now. They beat them. They've beaten some other teams that are not. I mean, I think the SEC has just kind of gone like this. It's like an accordion. It's kind of squeezed in. Squeeze me, come on in. I don't think there's a bad team, and I don't think there's a great team. But all you need is see how many you can get into the playoffs. We'll see how that works out, and we'll find that out. That is our UF Surf Club Cool Dude of the Week, Diego Pavia from Vanderbilt. And we'll find out about what we think about the playoffs right now as we go to our Christine and Steve Wendig present the 12. Oh, because I'm taking that from the 7. You know, if you watch The Boys, the 7, okay, it's a really good show. It's kind of graphic. All right, here's the 12 as far as I'm concerned right now, brought to you by Christine and Steve Wendig. Appreciate them for being sponsors. I will go with Oregon still 1. I got Miami at 2. Look, they keep winning. That's sometimes winning is enough. In fact, all the time winning is enough. It's not about getting, running up the score, getting points to make people think you're better. It's about winning, and they've won. They keep winning, and I think they're really good. And the other thing is, Duke hung in right there with them, and they went, "Now we've had enough of you. We're going to go ahead." FSU comes in, they're hanging in there for "Now we've had enough of you." Now I know there have been some games they could have lost. They should have lost to Cal. They should have lost to Virginia Tech, and I will never forgive those teams for not losing to them or not beating them. But anyway. All right, so I got Miami 2. I got Georgia at 3. BYU at 4. Got to have a conference. And again, the rankings are not what we have it ranked because we're going based on because conference winners get into that top 4. Ohio State at 5. Texas at 6. Tennessee at 7. Woof. Indiana at 8. I hope they keep it up. My gut is Indiana loses a couple down the stretch and ends up playing in another bowl game, and they're like, "This is really cool. We've never been a bowl game this big in forever." But you're like, "Okay, you could have really done something special." I don't know. That's my feeling. Notre Dame at 9, Penn State reluctantly at 10. And Alabama at 11. I got Alabama back in there. Teams keep losing. That's what's going to happen. Don't worry about where you are now. Worry about where you are when they decide. And then Boise State at number 12. So they're doing a good job there as well. brought to you by Christine and Steve Wendig. Let us get to our Gallows Car Wash Sponge of the Week. You know what our Sponge of the Week is? And it's brought to you by Gallows Car Wash. We appreciate them for being on board. It is a former Gator. And, man, did he make a play. This was a pretty good catch.
Second down at 6.
Coming from Matt Stafford. Throwing it up for DeMarcus Robinson. Go get it, big guy. One-handed catch. You got to love that. DeMarcus is a talented guy, man. He's been in the league for a long time. He was part of that team that McElwain had where he had to suspend him for half of the game because he snuck out of the Best Western over there. Oh, man. DeMarcus was a troubled soul, but he is a really good football player. That is a great catch. And let's wrap it up. We love wrapping it up with our Hugh Cain's Mayhem moment. Our Hugh Cain Mayhem moment. Let's get to it. The Gator Nation is in good hands with local Allstate agent Hugh Cain. Stop by Alachua Marketplace Plaza in Alachua and get a free quote today. Okay, so this was an interesting part of a game here today. This was, now as you can see, they're up 29-9 Arizona, but I can't believe their coaches were smart enough to do this. They had everybody signal for a fair catch on an onside kick. Brilliant. That is so brilliant. They put these new kick rules in and they go, there's got to be loopholes in all of them. And so this is the one they found here. You can all call for a fair catch. They can't hit you. They can't knock anybody off the ball. Just call for a fair catch. Catch the ball. So I like it. I like it. That's our Hugh Cain Mayhem moment. We had a lot of stuff to cover on Mondays. We always do. There's a lot of stuff going on. We'll be back Thursday. The Bulldog, Chris Lowe, is going to join us. I can't wait to talk to him about what he thinks about where the SEC is and what college football is doing. We'll look forward to that. Working on a big-time guest for my 400th podcast. If it's not the big-time guest I'm trying to get, it'll be a big-time guest that I've got. Anyway, don't worry about it. There'll be somebody on the show. For Zach, who's done a great job piecing this crap together, believe me, he does it every week. I appreciate him. I am Pat Dooley for Coach Spurrier, for Robbie Andrew. We are deep way back, and we are out of here.